This
Costco,
conference will now be recorded.
Costco, Picket, all of these companies offer corporate credit, but you have to build up to be able to go after that corporate credit. So I don't want to get, too much into the corporate credit thing unless someone has a specific question, but everybody you can think of, every single company that you can think of, every major company that you can think of offers corporate credit. And, there's this guy I know, Perrin, and his whole business model, which I don't necessarily agree with, but his whole business model was building these corporations. And what he would do is to generate capital, he would build these corporations, and he would literally go to Dell Computers and get 50 computers or 100 computers, and then subsequently, sell them off. Because he was through his corporation, he was buying them literally, at wholesale pricing, buying 100 plus computers or whatever at a time. I mean, he even had a corporation set up that he was going to Firestone Tires and was buying, like truckloads of tires, all on corporation, right? So he made some deal with some tire shop out in LA, and Perrin was able to build this corporation, which he's quite good at, obviously, and get I forgot what it was, but let's say it was like right under $100,000 worth of tires, and that was based purely on the good standing of the corporation. It had literally nothing to do with his credit or anybody else's credit. So once again, any business, any major company you can think of offers corporate credit, but you have to build up to that credit. And so, and that it really is a very cumbersome thing to do, and that's why we don't focus on it in the beginning. So our objective for you in the very beginning is to help you get as much funding as possible, that's easier to get, which is, in that range of $10 to $100,000, right? 10 to 200,000, and then 10 to $300,000. So that's where we primarily focus. But when you're talking about, doing bigger things, like $500,000, $1 million, then it's going to be a combination of your personal credit, your business credit, right, which is going to be established via Experian Business, Equifax Business, right, because that's where your business credit resides. And then also your corporate credit. When you start going after bigger things and bigger chunks of money, then all three things need to come into play. All three things need to show that you have an 80 plus paydex score, that you have a 90 to 100 Experian Business score, that you have the same thing. Now, Equifax Business rates theirs a little differently, and I can't think of it right now, but I think it's probably the same, like, the 80 to 100 or whatever. So we'll just say that. So all three things, and your personal credit score is going to need to be in the mid sevens or above. And so once again, I hate to keep on harping on the same thing, but these basic things, these basic understandings of what we're trying to accomplish, right, for ourselves and for your businesses and what you're trying to do, are important to understand. Because if you don't get these basics, then none of this crap is going to work out. So I have clients that I work with currently that, for whatever reason, simply choose not to understand that they have to understand and learn the basics. It's if you don't know the basics, is like in sports or anything else in this existence, then you're screwed before you start. Literally, you're screwed. So you guys have to get this, right? And if you have questions, you need to raise your hand and ask the questions. It's not hard to do. Ask a question if you're not grasping something. So if there's any questions, ask.
Not at the moment.
I'm sorry?
Everything is understood so far.
Okay. And you know what? I'm telling you, man, I'm gonna have to give you something else on top of, because you're there's a handful of people on this call, and you, my friend, are always on point and speaking up, and I greatly appreciate that. So I'll just continue on. Joy, did you have anything that you wanted to add? Let's see. I hope I didn't mute Joy by accident. Okay, but so bottom line is, you guys, our whole objective here is to help you get your personal credit right first, because without your personal credit right, then nothing else counts. Okay, so it is imperative that when you're looking at your personal credit, that you have your debt to income ratio is proper. That's number one. Huge, right? Your debt to income ratio needs to be proper. And then in addition to your debt to income ratio being proper, we want you to have a really good FICO score. And then in addition to a really good FICO score, we want you guys to start changing your story. It's imperative. So what I ask people is this. This is, if you were to go out and apply for credit January 1, right? So when you apply for that credit in January 1, most people, when you ask them, what would you put down? And they usually tend to say whatever they made last year as an income. Okay, and so as a rule of thumb, they'll say, "Oh, I made, I'd put down 50,000. I'd put down 70,000. I put down, 100,000, whatever it is." Okay, that they made last year. And then what I ask them is, I say, "Well, if it's January 1 and you're putting that down on the application, is that true?" And the answer to that is no, it's not true. And the reason it's not true is because it's January 1. And so all you're doing is what's referred to as future casting. And so when you're future casting, and your future casting is simply, you are saying to the creditors or to anyone else that this is what I believe I'm going to do. This is what I think I'm going to make. And so if you're going to say that this is what I believe I'm going to make, this is what I think I'm going to make, why not kick it up a notch, right? Because if you're going to put down that you made 50 grand, why not put down that you made $130,000, right? Because whether it's January 1 or January 15th or January 30th or December, 1st or whatever the case may be, you're going to want to add to your overall income. You're going to want to embellish, if you will. You're going to want to do what's future casting. You're going to want to raise your income. That's extremely important. If you say that you make $50,000 on an application, then you're going to get approvals for what a $50,000 person would get approvals for. So I tell people all the time, do some future casting. Instead of putting down you made $50,000 a year, put down that 130, 120, 145, whatever it is. Put that down on your application, because it's going to do a couple of things for you. It's going to, number one, it's going to change your debt to income ratio, and that's huge. Okay, so if you're making $50,000 a year and your debts are covering most of that $50,000 a year, who's going to want to lend you money? So it's imperative that you start changing your picture. Everything about you, as far as credit goes, is what you tell them. Does that make sense? Everything about you, as far as credit goes, is what you tell them. There is no, magic way that they have of coming into your world and finding out. I think I mentioned this in the last call, and that is that, whether I'm doing really good or really bad, if you go on to my Experian credit file, it says at the very bottom, if you go down to the very bottom, it simply says that my income is 144,000. Somebody has some extra noise going on, and you need to either pause your phone or get off the call. So, if you got to start telling what your story is. It's extremely important to tell your story the way you want it to be, and that goes for corporations and that goes for your personal stuff. You have to start telling the world who you are and what you're about as far as your finances go. You have to create your story. If you allow them to create the story for you, it's always going to not be in your favor, right? It's always going to be against you. So that's imperative that from now on, whomever is listening to my voice, when you fill out an application the next time, you need to, when they ask how much you make, you need to raise that figure. Raise it to whatever you feel comfortable with, but you need to change that figure. That is one of the most important things you could do for yourself, is to start future casting. And once again, a lot of people feel uneasy about it because it's, oh, well, that's not true. But the way I try to explain it is that it's also not true if it's January 1 and you're filling out an application that you put down whatever you made last year. It's the same thing. You're literally guessing, because the truth is that if you're working a job or you have a business, it doesn't matter. Either one of those can disappear within a day or a week or a month, right? And so if you're going to put down that you made $60,000, why not put down that you make $120,000? It does not matter in the sense of, what you're telling, because you were literally stepping out and saying, I believe I'm going to do that this year. I believe I'm going to make $120,000. So therefore, I want to be treated as a person that makes $120,000. Very basic stuff. Very, very basic. Every business under the sun does it. If anybody knows anything about stocks, one of the reasons, there's many, but one of the reasons stocks go up and down is because a company will come out and they'll say, we anticipate doing X amount of dollars in this third quarter. And if that doesn't happen, then the stock drops, right? And if it does happen, the stock rallies and goes up even more. So every business does it. And you guys need to start thinking of yourselves as a real business, as a business, right? We get stuck in this state of fear, right? And I do as well. And that's why I try to surround myself with people that are doing stuff, because it's easy as a business person, as an entrepreneur, it's easy to become fearful, and I can't stress enough how that happens in my existence. With all the knowledge that I have, I still have to reach out to other people that have as much, if not more knowledge than I do, because I become fearful of, basically of nothing, of stupidity, but I become fearful, and I'll stop myself from making the moves I need to make. So, and that's one of the reasons for this call, is so that we can all help one another and grow and develop and lessen the levels of fear, because there's someone else that's already doing what you're trying to accomplish. Does that make sense? For those of you who are doing the chat, just put a little something in the chat box.
It makes sense.
Good.
It makes sense.
Awesome. So, we all are at different levels of the race, so to speak, but we're all in the same race. We're all, trying to go down the same path. Some of us are a little bit further than the other. And so by all of us sharing information, as we grow and go, then it's going to be easier for us as a unit, right, to grow, us as a unit to learn and to to build, because as I've mentioned a gazillion times, and the bottom line is that everybody on this call has different life experiences. Whether it's 10 of us or 1,000 of us, we all have different life experiences. We're going to run across different lending institutions. We're going to run across different scenarios and situations. And so that's why it's so important to share what we're learning, what we're gleaning out in the world. So that way we can, share that information with one another, talk. Hey, somebody might have run across a bank. Like, if for those of you who can see the screen, for those of you who can see the screen, there are banks on here that I'm sure you never heard of before. There's a listing of banks on here that I never heard of before. And the way I even was able to go after the credit cards, like for Bank of Marin, which is a bank, I don't even remember what state that bank is in. It's but it's a bank. It's a bank that chose to give me a credit card. And I literally can't tell you. I don't remember what state it was in. But the point is Bank of Marin, as well as some of these other banks that I've never, ever heard of. I would not have learned about them if I weren't sharing information with other people that are doing what I'm doing. And then subsequently they were like, oh my God, hey man, this place, Bank of Marin, they gave me X amount of dollars, right? And so like some of you, if you can see the screen, you'll see that I had a Bloomingdale's card. I didn't even know that Bloomingdale's, this is back in the day, obviously. You can see this card says like 2010, I think, on there. I didn't even know back in the day that Bloomingdale's, had their own, cards in this manner, right? And a buddy of mine told me about it. And I was like, okay, well, let me go to Bloomingdale's and see what I can get. And there's a Nordstrom's card, and Nordstrom's, whether people know it or not, Nordstrom's has their own bank, right? So between, I think this Nordstrom card was somewhere around 15,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. And the Bloomingdale's card underneath it was something like $10,000. So he's going out, and I remember because I literally went exactly to the Nordstroms and the Bloomingdale's that my buddy told me about, where she went and she got these nice approvals, right? And so I literally drove out to San Diego just to apply. Even though, I mean, it's kind of stupid maybe, but that Nordstrom's gave me an immediate approval back then. So, I mean, you see, but I would have never thought about this Nordstrom card or that Bloomingdale card, getting their Visa and MasterCard, unless someone told me about it. So you see the value of us, sharing and, this information with one another, because there's so many things that I'm going to know that you don't, and vice versa. So it's imperative that, that we share with one another, that we learn, bring it back to the group, This next screen that I have up, for those of you who can see the screen, this is one of my clients, a gentleman by the name of Daniel. And so on this next screen, I'm showing you guys what Daniel was able to get in one day in credit. So Daniel was able to raise $61,000 in one day of applying for credit. And so what he was able to do is he got $20,000. This is all in business line of credit cards. So Daniel, his score was somewhere in the neighborhood of 750, 760, something like that. And so he was able to get a $20,000 Citi card. Bank of America gave him $6,000. Chase gave him $5,000. Delta Amex gave him $15,000, and Costco Amex back then gave him $15,000 for a total of $61,000. And that $61,000, he was able to do in one sitting at his computer. So that's like a day of applying for credit. And I don't, know about in anybody else's world, because I don't know what kind of money, people on this call make or don't make. But the point is that, for me, $61,000 in one day of applying for credit is a really good look. Now, I will say this: what I have noticed as of late is that quite often when you apply for more than 3 cards now, it seems like the third card, not for everybody, but for a lot of our client base, the third card doesn't get approved. And so, everything changes. Computer systems are much faster than what they used to be. So the way we were doing it is we would apply for a bunch of stuff in one day before the inquiries would have a chance to really show up. And that's why, in this particular instance, Daniel was able to go out and apply for these, how many cards is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So $61,000 across 5 business line of credit cards. That's in my opinion, that's a pretty good look. So, that's it. It's none of this stuff is hard, y'all. None of this is hard. It's literally just a matter of the do, right? So with everything about what we're doing and what we're trying to get across to you is that, it's a phrase that I coined that I like to use is success is in the do. So if you just follow the basics, follow these basics, let's get your credit right. If you don't want to do your credit yourself, we can help you with that, right? So, but we got to get your credit right. For those of you who need a reliable trade line source, we can help you with adding trade lines to your credit file, because one of the things that you're going to probably find is that history is going to be extremely important to you. History is, so a lot of us, even though we might be, whatever age, we might have, newish credit, right? And so we want to really, 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 add that history. We want to add as much history as humanly possible, as affordable, okay? So you want to literally position yourself so that, A, you have a decent amount of credit. So, like, I'll tell you guys, I was just having this conversation with Joy, who's obviously one of my partners. Like on my credit file, because I don't really, use my personal credit much, my score right now is Experian. I don't know why Experian always hits me hard, but I had some things going on. So my Experian is like in the 722 or something in that neighborhood, and my TransUnion and Equifax are like 738 or something. It's somewhere, they're a little off from each other, but somewhere in that neighborhood, 738 or something of that neighborhood. But the point is that one of the things that I have to do on my own credit file is that I'm going to have to add more history, because and also more stuff, because since I don't use my personal credit much, and anyone can do this, when you go onto your Experian, your Equifax, or TransUnion, whatever monitoring service you have, I personally like Experian. But for whatever credit monitoring service you have, and I don't mean something like Credit Karma or Quizzle or Credit Check Total, that's absolute bullshit, right? I mean, they're good to have because they have a lot of learning tools. Like Credit Karma has a lot of learning tools, but anything else about Credit Karma is utter bullshit. And if you're thinking that, like on Credit Karma, my scores are right under 800. And so you can see the difference there, right? So Credit Karma, they're showing me at 798, something crazy, right? But my real scores are 722 or something like that. Yeah, 722 up to like 738. But on Credit Karma, they have these ridiculous scores. So if you're basing, what you're trying to accomplish off of what you're on one of these third-party sites like Credit Karma, you're doing yourself a disservice. So, I'm going to suggest to you that you get that you get your credit monitoring. Spend that $20-30 a month, especially if you're sincere and serious about what we're trying to do here. Spend that $20-30 a month. Get yourself on Experian monitoring. Update your file every 30 days. And really see what's going on with you. And then when you do that, you can go to the bottom of the credit report, and it will tell you exactly what you're looking like, exactly what they think, right? And then the reason I like Experian, let me kind of backtrack a little bit. The reason I like Experian so much is because Experian, and at least for me, has always been the hardest nut to crack. Experian is like, oh my God, if I can crack the Experian nut, so to speak, I would be absolutely golden. So, with Experian, you really want to, learn, as much as you can from Experian. And so if you go to the bottom of your Experian file, they'll tell you what you need to do. I mean, there's no magic to any of this crap, people. If you go to Experian and you look, they will tell you what you need to do to get your score higher. There's nothing magical about it. There's no mystery here. If you want to, raise $1 million, the rules are out there. They've already been laid out for you. They will tell you how to raise freaking $1 million. You get it, y'all? It's just a matter of application. And that's the biggest problem that we have as people, right? Is that we have different levels of fear over different things that are not in our norm, if you will. And so because of that, we are, we're stunted, because of that, we don't allow ourselves to grow. Fear is a mother, and we have to get outside of that. We have to push through that fear, through that BS, and once again, I can't stress this enough. I am there as well with things that are new to me. And that's why I don't, I haven't, look, I've raised literally a whole lot of money in my existence, a lot of money. But the point is that even with that said, when it comes to doing something different, like we have other businesses, we have a couple of websites that we're pushing on. One of them is called EnviousTreats.com, and the other one is called Wigs and Weave Hair by Star.com. And the thing about it is those are like new things for me. So I have this level of fear because it's the unknown to me, right? But in truth, I've really spent a lot of money. I've paid these people like $7,000 to hold my hand through the process of setting up this e-commerce stuff. And the reason I did that is because they're ahead of me in this whole thing. That $7,000 I spent, $2,000 with one individual for training, and $5,000 with this other person, Mason, is because it's imperative that I shake the level of fear that I have by having them hold my hand and utilize their knowledge and their understanding of those businesses. Does that make sense to you guys? And so that's why we're doing what we're doing here, is so that, I'm sorry? I thought someone was saying something, but that's why it's so important, like with this here, is that, I'm ahead of most of you, I would assume anyway, in this particular arena. Joy is ahead of most of you in this particular arena. Nicole is ahead of most of you in this particular arena. And so what we're able to do for you is help you come along, right? In the credit, get your credit, getting your credit right, all this other stuff that you're going to have to do in order to be able to go to the next level, right? Because how can I say this without sounding redundant? We all just need to move forward. Close your eyes and take a leap of faith and just start moving forward. That's really it. You just have to say screw it and do it, So back to the credit thing. And if I'm kind of going in circles, is because I keep on thinking to myself, oh my God, I really want to push on this fear thing and how imperative it is to get beyond it. And so you have to forgive me if I keep on going back to that point, because it is the most imperative thing to understand. Success is in the do. And as Zig Ziglar used to always say, fear is false evidence appearing real, right? So it's just fake crap appearing real in your existence. And so then it will suffocate you. And so forgive me for repeating that over and over and over, but that is as important as anything else that we could ever talk about. Just starting and pushing through whatever fear you have, right? Understanding that the basics are the most important thing. You can learn all the fancy shit you want to. It means nothing if you don't have the basics down. And so the basics are here. Your personal credit has to be right. If your personal credit's not right, there's no need to start anything else. Bottom line, get your personal credit right. Get your debt to income right. Start changing your story. Start telling a completely different story than what you've been telling the credit world, right? And then when you're telling that story, you also have to start acting like that story is true. And so if you have credit cards that are if it's a $5,000 credit card and you owe $4,000 on it, and it's on your personal, that's not a good look. You got to find a way to pay that down. I don't care if you have to eat beans and rice for 3 months. You got to pay that crap down. You got to get it to 30%, right? So 30% of 5,000, if I'm not mistaken, 3 times 5 is 15. So you're going to have to get that card down to $1,500 and never go above that $1,500 again. Very, very important. 30%. You also have to start, tweaking your income, future casting. You have to start telling them the bigger, the better. You have to start showing them and explaining to the credit world that you make X amount of dollars. As I mentioned to you earlier, I don't care if it was a period of time when I was absolutely flat broke, or a period of time when life is just flushed with money. If you look on my Experian, it says 144,000. And they will start telling that. They will start telling the people that are pulling your credit for you. They will start telling them that story for you. You write it down on your application, or you type it in on your application, and then when they pull your credit file and they're looking at your debt to income ratio and all that other stuff, that 144,000 or whatever it is that you're telling the world will start to show up on your credit file. You get it? So now you're backing what you're saying with the people that they believe the most, the credit bureaus. Do you guys get that? You see how powerful that is? It's telling your story and then getting the credit bureaus to subsequently start telling your story. And those are the most powerful entities in this credit arena, right? That are out there. You want Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. You want Innovis, and a lot of you don't know who Innovis is, but Innovis is actually one of the largest credit bureaus existing. Some say it's larger than Experian, but most people have never heard about it. You guys got to learn that crap. You guys got to learn that stuff. It's hugely important. You got to learn, what functions they play within this arena. A lot of people, they've heard of, places like LexisNexis, but they don't know what LexisNexis functions are, right? They don't know what CoreLogic's functions are. I mean, CoreLogic, I live in a place called Fountain Valley, which is, most people haven't heard of that, but it's Fountain Valley, California, in Orange County, which is right next to me is Huntington Beach on one side, and Costa Mesa is on another side, and Newport Beach is diagonal from me. And so as I'm going down the 405 freeway, there's this huge building, and it says CoreLogic on it, right? CoreLogic is huge, and basically places like LexisNexis, CoreLogic, Innovis, they sell information to the three primary credit bureaus. And so you guys have to learn that you can freeze those particular places. So I'm going to tell everybody on this call, go to Innovis.com, pull up your credit file from them, see what they're saying about you, right? You have the right to get a copy of your credit from them. The same thing with CoreLogic, and the same thing with LexisNexis. I want you guys to go and get your credit reports from them. And for those of you who haven't gotten your Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, you need to get those files. You need to get a fresh pool, and see what's going on with your credit file as it is right now. Very, very important, you guys. Get your primary house in order. And then I'm telling you, and I'm telling you sincerely, raising money after you have your stuff right, after you're sitting in the 700 FICO score range, as we showed you in the last phone call with one of Nikki's clients, and this guy, I don't want to get all up into this guy's business, but he had basically a thin file, and Nikki was able to help him get over $140,000 in 45 days. How crazy is that? So he was able to get, as mentioned prior, $85,000 from SunTrust, from a division of SunTrust Bank called Lightstream. So, and when the dude started, come on. I mean, his credit was crap. Nikki, was able to help him. Nicole actually was able to help him get his the few derogatories he had on his credit off. Added some trade lines, which took the most time, right? Added some depth, right? Utilizing those trade lines, and then subsequently he was able to go and get $85,000 from one place, and I think it was $22,500 from another place in business credit, and then another card was $24,000 in business credit. I think that was the Bank of America one, and then the Amex, I think it was a black card or something, and it wasn't, just based purely on his. Adding those trade lines made the difference. So these are things that you guys have to understand. We have to do whatever is necessary to make our file look right, to make our file, give us that age. You can buy trade lines. We can help you buy trade lines. Everybody has our email address, right? Joy, I think you're there, right? I see you on the deal. But anyways, if you want trade lines, we can help you with that. If you're looking for help, building out your credit file, we can help you with that. I've done a lot of talking in this go around, but it's so important to me that you guys get these basics down pat, that you guys get your credit right, that you guys understand that raising money is easy when you have your basics right. And I'm going to tell you guys a little something that I'm going through right now with Wells Fargo. Now, so I've had my Wells Fargo bank account since 1992. That's when my business account, my Vanguard Global LLC business account. I've had it since 1992. And the deal is, with that business account, years ago, I think you might have even seen this on the screen here. Let's see, somewhere on the screen, I should be able to pull it up. I'm kind of skipping through. My Wells Fargo, here it is in the corner. I had a few Wells Fargo bank accounts, right? And I'm sorry, credit cards, and debit cards, credit cards, the whole 9 yards. And the deal is that those cards went bad, right? That business, which I was in the back then, I was in the medical supply business. Okay, so I had a couple of different medical supply businesses. One was called Scooter King, and another one was called PDMS Medical. But the point is that I had credit cards with Wells Fargo. I just reapplied with Wells Fargo for one of their business line of credit programs. Still me as the guarantor, and they gave me $2,500, right? And I'm like, okay, you gave me $2,500, which is cool, but I want more than that. So I called them up, and I called them up because I applied last week. So I called them up after they gave me the notification saying that, oh yeah, you've been approved. I already know why they gave me the $2,500 because I was a guarantor for something, a decade ago, and it went bad. Those company cards went bad. But do you guys get the magic of that though? Even with that said, even with two different companies that I had credit cards through Wells Fargo, they still gave me $2,500. And listen to what I'm telling you. I'm going to call them up, and I'm promising you, I'm going to figure out a way to get them to give me a whole lot more than $2,500. Do you see how cool that is? Even if you had credit somewhere under your business, you can still go back. Because ultimately, yeah, I was the guarantor, but that business went under, not Pascal. Does that make sense to you guys? I didn't go under. The business went under. Right? PDM Medical Supplies went under. Scooter King went under. I didn't go under. Those businesses did. And so,
Pascal,
Wells Fargo, yes.
This is Joy. I don't know what happened. I was muted. But I just want to touch on that too. Every business is a separate legal entity from you personally. So although you could be the guarantor, it's still a separate entity from you as a person.
Absolute. So you guys, I hope you guys are catching this, man. I'm just telling you, this is like, I literally, and I literally charge money for this stuff, like real money, not nickels and dimes money. I mean, just like my basic stuff is like $5,000, right? And I'm just giving you guys like gold for real. I mean, like just letting you have it. So this Wells Fargo card. Let me tell you something. Ultimately, even let's say if they didn't give me a raise right now, I'm gonna hit them up every 3 months. Every 3 months. And if you guys aren't hitting your credit cards up for a limit raise every 3 months, you're crazy. You should at least ask, right? Just ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. Just hey, can I get a raise? When you first get a credit card, somebody needs to start out that noise. When you guys first get a credit card, you get a credit card in the mail. But when you activate that card, you should call in to activate it. And when you call in to activate it, you should also ask for an increase right at that moment. There's a chance that they're going to say no, but there's also a chance they're going to say yes. If, like the lady told me from Wells Fargo just the other day, excuse me, when I called in to ask for my credit to be reviewed again, right? Because I was like, what can I do with $2,500, ma'am? Right? And she's like, I don't know what's going on here. See, once again, I know the background, right? She does not. So she said, I'm going to resubmit this to our team, and you can call back in 3 business days. Which technically would have been Friday, but Thursday was the holiday. So I just said I'll call back today, and I will when we get off the phone. But the thing is, even if I don't get the increase, 3 months from now, I'm going to ask them for $5,000 because I need that $5,000. Even if I never use that $5,000, I need that $5,000. I need them to give me as much as humanly possible. You know why? Because ultimately, you guys, I want to have more of the bank's money in my possession than the law should allow. Because if some funk ever goes down, something ever goes wrong, I want those resources. If I have a deal that comes up, something that is just, going to make me a bunch of money, I want those resources. And if it's better to have than to not have and need it. And so that's the bottom line. Even if stuff goes wrong, you guys can still come back and get from those very same places. So I myself am a big believer in, look, I'm a big believer in if I set my mind to this crap, as you all can do, I'm going to get what I'm looking for. I'm going to get the thing that I'm looking for. All right. I have a specific figure in my mind that I'm going to, I'm working on raising as we speak. And, I anticipate raising it. So I don't know if anyone has any questions. Now's the time to ask, because we're at the end of this call. I'm hoping you guys are getting something from this. As
Yes.
you know, okay. Well, I don't know who said yes.
Me, Radames. Question: how you spell
Okay.
Innobus? Innobus.
It's INNOVIOUS, George?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's INNOVIS.com.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
You're welcome. So pull from there. Joy, tell them where they need to pull from in the process, if you don't mind, please.
Absolutely. So you definitely want to go to innovis.com, and they will offer you a free credit report there, and it'll come to you within about a week. It's not like Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax when it takes some time to come to you. So you can get a free credit report from there. You could even do a security freeze through Innovis. What Pascal and I are, I'm sorry, I'm putting it in the chat here for Jimmy. It's Innovis, INNOV as in Victor, IS.com. The security freeze, only do it if it's necessary, but you could opt out of any credit offers or types of insurance if you feel that you do need to go through the credit repair process. Go ahead and opt out with them during that process. You can even file disputes with Innovis directly. You want to do disputes only by letter form, though, not online with Innovis.
Thank you.
And also about CoreLogic and also LexisNexis, if you would explain those to them as well.
Absolutely. So everyone, no matter if you've heard of LexisNexis or not, I would definitely go to LexisNexis. Is LEX like an X-ray, IS as in Sam, N as in Nancy, EX as in X-ray, IS as in Sam.com again, and go there and actually get your full file disclosure. They have so much information on you, and it's scary to some people on the level of information they have on you. They have pretty much any insurance claim that you've made for your car, any accident you've been in, any licenses you hold that are professional, any, and their numbers. They have the license number. They have so much information. But if you have a bankruptcy, anyone that has a bankruptcy, definitely consider freezing your LexisNexis file, because that's what the credit bureaus use to supposedly, in quotation marks, validate your bankruptcy. So you definitely want to freeze that information there. And if you need help with that, let us know. We're here for your resource to help you out with that. But the full file disclosure form, it takes about 15 days or less to get back, and you can at least see what the magnitude of information they have on you. They have your at any address that you've lived at, down to the geolocation and who's on the deed. So I got mine. It was very alarming for me, and a lot of my clients, that's what we do. We get that. At least we do nothing else. At least you can see what type of information they have about you, LexisNexis. And then CoreLogic. If anyone goes out and applies for an apartment or any rental history, CoreLogic has a division that actually handles that. So if you have any inquiry on your credit that says Credco or even CoreLogic spelled out, that's from that credit bureau. So it's actually an information bureau that holds any rental history, a lot of real estate data about you as well. So you could also request that too, and you can freeze it as well. Just know that if you do freeze CoreLogic, that if you are planning to apply for an apartment, especially with the larger corporation buildings, that they may deny you if they're not able to pull that, but at least you'll have that information. So that's just a disclaimer on that. But if, let's say, you were getting denied for the fact that they're not able to pull your CoreLogic report, you could always challenge that, just like Pascal was talking about. You can challenge it and they can reverse their decision. Just because you get denied on something on the basis of the creditor is not able to pull your file or pull your credit, doesn't mean you're actually denied. If you push the envelope, most times I've seen that they will go ahead and reverse the decision on the phone and give you a larger limit just by validating your identity.
Whoever's making all that noise, please mute your phone or get off the call. We keep it simple here. You gotta mute or get off.
Any questions?
Okay.
Any questions about those three?
Not at the present time.
Okay. Awesome. So, any questions about anything about business credit, corporate credit, personal credit? Any questions about any of those?
Everything is understood.
Okay. And so we have like a few people that came on late. Let's see, James Hampton's good. Okay. I was just looking at the reply from Jimmy. So listen, you guys, every week we're here. We're going to be on this call. We're going to be trying to teach you guys. Some of this stuff is going to get redundant until you start actually doing something with what you're learning. All right, because there's a wealth of stuff I can give you guys and show you guys and work with you on. But the point is that it doesn't make any sense for me to go to that next level, or for Joy to go to that next level with you, or for Nicole to go to the next level with you, if you're not doing the basics yet, right? So I'm giving you forewarning. If you're going to participate in these calls, you're going to have to start doing something. And if you need assistance doing something, we're here to help you. As Joy always says, we're your resource. Our objective is to help you change your life, right? So, our primary function is obviously doing doing some of the work, but our primary function is coaching you, because that's what we are, right? We're coaches in this arena, but we also are coaches that are hands-on. So, we're here. I'm just going to tell everybody, as a rule of thumb, we charge $500 a month just for these phone calls. But you all are fortunate in that we are letting you guys on these calls for free at this point in time. And if I'm telling you, get everything you can. Our basic service to work with you directly and build your credit is $5,000, right? $5,000. And you guys are getting so much gold for free. And if you don't take advantage of it, shame on you. Seriously. You really, really, really should be ashamed of yourself, because when I go on other people's calls, and I'm just going to tell you point blank, they give you so much bullshit information, they give you so much surface information that it's ridiculous, because their calls are literally about getting you to buy their shit. And so I'm just going to tell you, first of all, I cuss a lot, so you guys have to forgive me or just not listen in on the phone call. I don't care either way, really. So I'm not about just come buy my shit. I'm literally about, let me teach you, let me show you any and everything that it is that you want to know. And if you think that has value to you, then you can hire us. If you find that it doesn't have any value to you, then don't. I just don't care, right? Because whether you hire us or not for credit repair, or for getting trade lines, or for building your business credit, or whatever, is not going to stop me from doing the businesses that I have, number one, nor is it going to stop me from developing my own credit, right, and getting more and more credit. So what I do is has I don't know how to say this, but what I'm doing for me is not determined by what you come and do with me. Does that make sense? I would love to work with you because I like to think of myself as a student first and a teacher second. And I enjoy it, as you guys probably noticed. My fat butt talked for an hour, right? And because I love this crap. I love this stuff. And so if you're going to come on these calls, you're getting all this golden information, use it. That's all I ask. Just use it. I'm giving you gold. Joy is giving you gold, right? And Nicole gives you gold. It's just like, ask questions. Don't just sit on the phone like a lump on a log. Ask questions, participate. And that's what's going to keep us doing these phone calls for you guys, by asking questions, by participating. And if you guys don't, then, it just doesn't make any sense. I'm literally more interested in you guys learning from us than trying to collect money from you, right? Like I said, I go on a lot of other people's calls, and they give you this very shallow information, because the idea is we're going to give you just enough so that you come and you have to spend with us. We work in the complete opposite reverse of that. We're going to give you the best that we can, right? The absolute best information that we can give you, that we know. And if you ask a question, it's not like I'm going to run from the question and say, you're going to buy our programs. I'm not doing that crap. What I'm actually doing is I'm saying, if you have a question, ask that question. If you want to know something, just ask, and we will give you our best answer, right? Whether you are a $5,000 or $10,000 client, we will give you that answer that we would give to a $5,000 or $10,000 client, period. We'll give you the exact same answer. So I'm just saying to you guys, please participate. Please take advantage of what you're learning. That's it. Now, if no one has anything to say, then I think Joy, did you have more to talk about other than that?
Yes, yes, I
Okay,
did
go ahead.
actually.
Let's make it happen.
Since we're talking about business funding and corporate funding, the first step to that is incorporating. So if doing it as a DBA or a sole proprietorship is not going to cut it for what we have envisioned for everyone and what we are currently doing. So that is the absolute first step. And I would go as far as to say as credit repair alongside that concurrently. So with that being said, if you're not a corporation or LLC, as we close out this year, I would encourage you to get that started. We can help you incorporate in any state. And a great plus from working with us is that we've done it before in any state. So you can ask us your questions on it, but definitely get incorporated or get your LLC before the end of the year closes out so you can be on top of 2019. And also, if you do pull your credit on Experian credit and it's less than what you saw or it's not where you want to be, if you're anywhere under the 740 range, email us. Let us know. We work with all types of credit. There's no shame every day of the week. And we'd be more than willing to help you either, do it yourself, or if you want us to work with you, we would be willing to do that as well. But, I was always the procrastinator until about 3 years ago. And that's when I got my business going and my credit together. So it doesn't take much, but you're the one who has to put the first step forward on that. And we're willing to help you do it whatever it takes. And that's all I have to say.
So that's it, Chief. You're done?
That's it.
All right.
I'm good.
All right.
Oh, and the email, if you do need our email, because I'm not sure if everyone's checking down at the chat, I placed a few first step vendors, the vendors that Pascal was talking about for the revolving credit line, but definitely check the chat out. I put the emails, not the emails, the websites to those on there, but I also put our email address. So if you fall in the category of needing a corporation or LLC, or you fall in the category of being under a 740 on your personal credit, then definitely email us at info@powermondaysmastermind.com, just like it's spelled. And that's all. Have a happy Monday.
Well, actually, that or the Gmail. Should be the Gmail, right?
You want to give them the Gmail? Oh, sure. So the Gmail is going to be Power Mondays with an S, mastermind@gmail.com. And I placed it in the chat as well. So, go ahead.
No, please go. I'm not trying to step on your combo.
Oh, no worries. So if you fall under the category, any of those categories, we're willing to help you. You just have to make the first step in reaching out to us.
So that sounds like that's going to be it. So this is every Monday. Obviously the phone information changes. So if you're interested, you're going to have to check your inbox and your spam folder for any email that you may receive from us. And so that way you can get on next week's call as well. Also, for you all that are interested, I would encourage you, invite other people onto the phone call. If you feel like you're getting something from it, invite other people on the call. If you don't feel like you're getting anything from it, then don't. But if you do and you know of other individuals that you think that this would be beneficial to, then, invite them on the call. I think it would be a good thing for you to do, and I would believe that they're going to learn a lot. And so, once again, questions, Power Mondays Mastermind, at gmail.com, Power Mondays Mastermind at gmail.com. And honestly, we've been a little remiss and checking that site, that email, Power Mondays Mastermind at gmail.com. But we will start doing it more often, like daily. So, Joy, anything else you want to add before we call it a day?
Well, I would take it as far as to say all of the interested folks that we have on the call, let us know where you are in the process as well. If you already have a corporation or LLC, then that's one less step that we don't have to go through with you. So just make sure you let us know where you are, what you're actually looking for, and what your goals are as we close out this year.
Absolutely. And if you would like, for anyone who wants, you can call Joy directly and speak with her. Joy, give me your number.
Sure. My phone number, and this is my cell phone number too, so I always have this number on me, is 818-877-0290. And, just call me if you need anything, as far as even getting the corporation or the LLC or whatever you guys need. You can call me or Pascal as well, and we'd love to help you out.
Right. And my number, my direct line is 951-515-4728, 951-515-4728. And one more time for your number, Joy.
My number is 818-877-0290.
Absolutely. So hopefully you guys have learned something. And once, I hate to be redundant and say the same crap over and over and over again, but I can't stress it enough. Until you glean or grasp the information that we're giving you, you can't really move on. And just FYI, the cost, if you wanted to do it separately from anything else that we offer, the fee for service to set up a corporation is $699 for us, and that will cover you in any state of the union. What else? That's your corporate kit, your obviously, submitting your documentation to the Secretary of State, it's the whole 9 yards, it's everything. And also setting up your tax ID number properly. So you can set your tax ID number up in a lot of different ways, or a couple of different ways actually. But we like to make sure everything is done the way it should be, so that it's going to work the best for you. And then in addition to that, if you wanted help setting up, like your Duns, your Dun & Bradstreet and your Experian business and all that, we can also help you with that as well. But just your getting your corporation and or LLC set up is $699, and that's it, y'all. You can give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to help you with whatever we can. So thank you so much, and hopefully we'll see you guys next weekend. I'm sure we're going to see our buddy next weekend. And take care, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm ending the call.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.